Welcome to Idea TV News at 9. I am Cynthia Bassi. We begin with the headlines. Federal government sets uniform prices for renewed hope housing units nationwide. Federal government launches Jubilee Fellowship to create 20,000 jobs annually. In the sports, OSIMHEN fires GALATASARAY to back-to-back Champions League victories. Now the news in full. The federal government has approved uniform prices for its renewed Hope Estate housing units across all states of the Federation. In a statement from the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, the new prices are pegged at 8.5 million naira for a one-bedroom, 11.5 million naira for a two-bedroom, and 12.5 million naira for a three-bedroom semi-detached bungalow. The move, according to the ministry, is aimed at promoting affordability, transparency and fairness, ensuring that Nigerians in all regions have equal access to home ownership opportunities under the Renewed Hope Housing Program. Minister of Housing and Urban Development Ahmed Dangiwa said priority in the allocation of the houses will be given to low and middle income earners, civil servants, employees in the organized private sector, and Nigerians in the diaspora. The Permanent Secretary, Dr. Shuaib Belgore, explained that several payment options are available, including outright purchase, mortgage, rent-to-own, and installment plans to make the units more accessible. The ministry also announced that the sale of completed housing units across the northern and southern regions will begin soon. Interested applicants can apply online through the official Renewed Hope Housing portal or at the ministry's offices nationwide. The Renewed Hope Cities and Estates program, launched in February 2024, is a flagship initiative of the Bola Tinubu administration designed to bridge Nigeria's housing deficit. The program targets the construction of 100,000 housing units nationwide, beginning with the 3112 unit Renewed Hope City project in the Kasana district of Abuja. Each Renewed Hope City will feature at least 1,000 housing units per site across the 6 geopolitical zones, while the estates will include 500 housing units per site in the remaining states. This initiative is part of a public-private partnership between the ministry and construction firms Continental Civil and General Construction Limited and Cizali Limited. Moving on, the federal government has opened applications for the Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program NJFP 2.0, an initiative aimed at creating 20,000 jobs every year for young graduates. The announcement was made following the inauguration of the project steering committee by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa, where he reaffirmed the administration's commitment to the youth empowerment and inclusive economic growth. According to the Vice President, the government plans to invest $220 million in the initiative, which is being implemented in partnership with the European Union and the United Nations Development Programme. The program will connect high-potential graduates to paid work placements, mentorships, and skills development opportunities across sectors, including agriculture, digital technology, manufacturing, renewable energy, and the creative industry. Over 14,000 young Nigerians benefited from the first phase of the program. The NJFP 2.0 is expected to deploy 24,000 fellows over the next 10 months as part of efforts to address unemployment and strengthen Nigeria's workforce for future economic demands. Interested applicants are encouraged to submit their applications through the official program website. Moving on, the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, has announced the commencement of local production of advanced security equipment in partnership with the Department of State Services, DSS. The initiative, fully backed by the presidency, marks a significant step toward achieving technological self-reliance in Nigeria's security sector. Speaking in Abuja, NASENI's Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Khalil Halilu said the newly established manufacturing facility, jointly constructed with the DSS, is equipped with cutting-edge technology designed to strengthen intelligence gathering and enhance national security operations. He added that Both agencies have developed the technical expertise required for production, noting that some project details remain confidential for security reasons. Halilu emphasized that the collaboration aligns with the President's vision to reduce dependence on foreign imports and promote homegrown innovation in security technology. He expressed optimism that the initiative would position Nigeria as a regional leader in security equipment manufacturing, contributing to national stability, economic growth, and greater self-sufficiency in defense capabilities. And now, South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa met with Vietnamese President Luong Quang in Hanoi as he began a two-day official visit aimed at strengthening diplomatic and economic ties. Ramaphosa announced that both nations have taken a major step toward upgrading their bilateral relationship to a strategic partnership. The South African leader described Vietnam as a key partner in his country's export diversification efforts, noting the steady rise in cooperation and investment flows between the two nations. Vietnam, which aims to become Asia's next major economic success story by 2045, has benefited from expanding trade links with South Africa. Trade between the two countries has grown significantly, increasing from $192 million in 2007 to $1.72 billion in 2024. This visit marks the first trip to Vietnam by a South African president in about 2 decades, signaling renewed commitment to deepening engagement across trade, development, and diplomatic sectors. In another news, a new report by the African Private Capital Association, AVCA, has revealed that 65% of Ghanaian pension funds plan to increase their investments in private equity over the next 5 years, signaling a major shift in the country's pension market strategy. The report, developed in partnership with the Chamber of Corporate Trustees of Ghana and British International Investment (BII), highlights growing interest in using domestic pension assets to drive long-term investments in productive sectors such as healthcare, agribusiness, and technology. According to the report, the Ghanaian government's 2025 directive mandating pension funds and insurers to allocate at least 5% of their assets to private equity and venture capital by 2026 has accelerated this momentum. Despite total pension assets reaching 86.4 billion Ghana cedis, which is $6.2 billion by the end of 2024, only 4.4% of available allocations have been deployed into private capital, far below the regulatory limit. Analysts say that with the right policy support, Ghana's pension system could become a key driver of sustainable growth, economic growth, The report also notes several obstacles to deeper participation in private markets, including complex regulations, limited investable opportunities, and low institutional capacity. To overcome these barriers, AVCA recommends greater data transparency, targeted training, blended finance mechanisms, and streamlined fund licensing. With these measures in place, Ghana is expected to emerge as a leader in pension-led private capital mobilization across West Africa. And away from Africa, the United Kingdom's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, has widened its methanol poisoning advisory to include 8 more countries, among them Nigeria, Kenya, Japan, Mexico, Peru, Uganda, Ecuador, and Russia, following rising cases of deaths and severe illnesses linked to contaminated alcoholic beverages. The alert is primarily aimed at protecting British travelers, as officials report increasing incidents in popular tourist destinations. Methanol, and industrial alcohol used in products like antifreeze and paint thinners, is sometimes illegally mixed into locally produced spirits to cut costs. It is both tasteless and odorless, making adulterated drinks extremely difficult to detect. Even small amounts can cause serious health emergencies, with symptoms such as nausea, dizziness, and confusion that may quickly escalate to blindness or death within 12 to 48 hours. The FCDO is urging travelers to avoid homemade or street-sold alcoholic drinks and to stick to sealed or bottled beverages from licensed establishments. The advisory is part of its wider Know the Signs of Methanol Poisoning awareness campaign launched to help travelers identify risks and seek urgent medical attention if symptoms appear. We'll go on a quick break now. The news continues when we return.
"5G technology. 5G technology promises to be a game changer by delivering ultra-fast internet speeds, low latency, and the ability to connect millions of devices seamlessly. It's going to fuel the future of smart cities, autonomous vehicles, and IoT devices, allowing them to communicate in real time. However, 5G rollout isn't without hurdles. High costs of infrastructure and regulatory issues in some regions have slowed down implementation. By 2026, the 5G market is expected to be valued at $667.90 billion, with the US, China, and South Korea leading the change. The challenge? Cybersecurity risks and data privacy will remain top concerns as more devices become connected.
Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is Idea TV News at 9. Now the rest of the news. In health, the Nigerian Medical Association NMA KWARA State Chapter has called on the state government to improve welfare packages and working conditions to help retain medical professionals and tackle the shortage of doctors in public health facilities. Acting Vice Chairman of the association, Dr. Ayinde Musa, made the appeal in Ilorin, urging authorities to introduce scholarships, low-interest loans, and other benefits that would make public hospital jobs more attractive. Musa emphasized that modernized facilities and strengthened healthcare infrastructure are crucial to discouraging doctors from relocating abroad for better opportunities. He stressed that improved remuneration and competitive incentives are necessary to match working conditions in countries where Nigerian doctors frequently migrate. He also advised the government to collaborate with stakeholders in the health sector to create sustainable solutions, noting that many doctors currently engaged in private establishments could be encouraged to join government service if their welfare and career growth are prioritized. Moving on to business news, despite the start of operations at the Dangote refinery, Nigeria imported about 15 billion liters of petrol between August 2024 and early October 2025, representing nearly 69% of the total national fuel supply within the 15th month period. Data from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority (NMDPRA) showed that total petrol supply stood at 21.68 billion liters, with 6.67 billion liters, about 31%, coming from domestic refining. The figures revealed that petrol imports, which averaged over 54 million liters per day in September 2024, declined steadily as the Dangote refinery increased production. By January 2025, local output had risen to 22.66 million liters per day, reducing import dependence to around 24 million liters daily. By October 2025, Dangote's production averaged 18.93 million liters per day, surpassing imports for that month. The report highlights Nigeria's gradual transition towards self-sufficiency in fuel supply, even as importers continue to compete with the Dangote refinery in the local market. Officials say the growing domestic refining capacity signals progress in the post-subsidy era and may, over time, reduce Nigeria's reliance on imported fuel while boosting the country's energy security. Now lastly, in sports news, Victor OSIMHEN scored twice at GALATASARAY, secured a 3-1 victory over Bodø/Glimt in the UEFA Champions League on Wednesday, giving the Turkish championships consecutive wins in the competition. The home supporters were on their feet early when Mario Lemina slipped a pass through for OSIMHEN, who calmly slotted past Nikita Hakin just 3 minutes into the game. The Nigerian striker remained a constant threat throughout the first half, forcing several saves from the visiting goalkeeper before capitalizing on a defensive mistake in the 33rd minute. OSIMHEN pounced on a loose back pass, rounded Hakin, and doubled Galatasaray advantage with ease. Despite both Gleamate creating a few promising chances, they struggled to truly trouble Ugokan Sake in a goal. After the break, the visitors show more intent and push forward for a response, but GALATASARAY continued to carry the greater attacking danger. OSIMHEN combined well with treatments to keep the pressure high, and the hosts eventually sealed their win to maintain strong momentum in their European campaign. And that's all we have for you on Idea TV News at 9. But before we go, here's a recap of the headlines. We brought you news that the federal government sets uniform prices for renewed hope housing units nationwide. And federal government launches Jubilee Fellowship to create 20,000 jobs annually. DSS and Naseni partner to produce high-tech security equipment locally. And South Africa and Vietnam elevate relations to strategic partnership. Ghanaian pension funds move toward private equity investments. And away from Africa, UK issues expanded warning on methanol-contaminated alcohol in Nigeria, Kenya, and others. In health, NMA urges KWARA government to boost health infrastructure and doctors' welfare. And in business, Nigeria imports 15 billion liters of petrol despite DANGOTE refinery output. In sports, OSIMHEN fires GALATASARAY to back-to-back Champions League victories.